All right. This is going to be the first podcast or the first YouTube video. My name is Taylor Maxwell. I actually am a mortgage loan originator, a mortgage loan officer, MLO, whatever you want to call it. Um, but I wanted to start a podcast or YouTube. They're going to be used interchangeably. So I'm starting this show, if you want to call it a show, I guess, just to explain the successes, the failures, the hard, what has been difficult for me trying to start out as a new MLO, mortgage loan originator. I'm hopefully going to get some feedback from you guys. I'll see if I can help answer any questions. Um, and we're just going to start today's show basically as an introduction. Today's going to be the pilot. I'll try to have one video out each week, one per week, maybe around Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, not sure yet. Um, but basically, the layout of the show is going to be simple. It's going to be one success, one failure, and then one question, something I want to ask you or me or myself, whatever. There's going to be no bullshit when it comes to this. I'm going to be upfront and straight with you guys. I'm not going to name any names and I'm not going to use any company names, but I am going to use it to promote myself and promote how I conduct business and how and what I think is important in this business to be successful based on my failures and what I'm living through at the current time. So, I had a background in banking. I was a supervisor or a senior banker or a just a banker they called them. Basically did everything retail. I ended up going to liquor store management. I ended up going into liquor store management to get some more experience with management and then went back to banking. I became a supervisor. I was hired in. I wanted a banker position. I got bumped up before I even got hired to a supervisor level. Now, that just meant that it came with more responsibilities, more people managing, and more tasks to take on daily, which I loved. I wanted to learn. I'm hungry. I'm a hustler. I wanted to go do it. So I was learning, more about banking in that role, and ultimately I realized what I did and didn't like about banking. And the main thing was that I liked was doing customer service, connecting with people, making those relationships strong, being a point of contact. That's always how I've been. I've been transparent with people. I think that anybody in business banking or personal banking, anybody in banking in general, they should be straightforward with you. They should shoot you straight. They should tell you. They should say, "Hey, look, I messed up. I did this. I did that." They should own up to their problems. If they created something, they should fix it. They should be, your point of contact and trusted. That's the main thing. That's the big thing is you should be able to trust that person. I mean, you're giving them your money, you're putting liens on your home, you're, trusting them with your livelihood. And if you can't trust that person, then what good are they? Honestly, that's why I went into mortgage loan origination because I got to take that part of those aspects. Majority of what I do now, to my understanding, is I go out and I source business. I go and I find people. I go and I talk to people and figure out, if there's a product that I have that could help them. Now, mainly it's going to be a mortgage product, but still, my main role is to meet people, is to bring in business, generate business, and be a point of contact for the company that I represent and work for. So that being said, I'm a straight shooter. I don't like to bullshit. You'll never see me bullshit. I'll end up just telling you straight up what it is. And I think that that goes a long way in this business. And I think that that's the difference between success and failure. Um, and like I mentioned, the layout of these shows is going to be one success, one failure, and questions to think about. So realistically, I've been at this company for going on 2 weeks. I'm gonna just put that all into 1 week. This is the pilot episode. Hopefully, in the future, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have some interviews with real estate agents, other mortgage brokers, loan originators, maybe even CEOs, um, vice presidents. We're gonna get a lot of other people's input, and hopefully, if you guys have any input, um, this is a way to get my name out there and it is a way to connect with more people. But I'm not here trying to solicit. solicit sales and everything. I'm sure that people will have questions, and I'd love to be a point of contact to answer your questions for you. But my main purpose here is to explain the journey of becoming a mortgage loan originator and explaining where I came from and how I ended up here, and then explaining successes and failures. This week, I wanted to just say that the main success was coming into this business and realizing that retail banking wasn't for me. I wasn't getting ahead with any of the work that I was putting in. Mainly, I wasn't reaping what I sowed. And not to sound selfish or anything, but if you pour your heart into something, you would expect that you would get something back. That being said, when I was in banking, I would go above and beyond, and I was still just a number. And to me, that was difficult because I would pour my effort into this. I would try my hardest. I wouldn't get anywhere. I read it all the time on Glassdoor, on all these different bank interviews. And let's get a little bit more comfortable. This is what we're gonna do too. We're gonna start taking this off. We're gonna take it off. That's how we're gonna do the introductions. We're gonna take the tie off. Every time that we have a video, we're gonna take the tie off and we're gonna throw it. That's how you know we're in the no bullshit zone. So basically, I wasn't getting anywhere with banking and I wasn't able to get ahead. I even went to the CEO of one of the banks that I work for and I said, listen, I'm not asking for a raise. I'm asking for more hours. Just don't cut my hours, please. Let me work more. Let me work more overtime. Let me take extra trainings. I even went as far as contacting the back office and I said, hey, listen, I want to know the operations side of stuff too. Are there trainings that I can take so I can learn? And basically, I was told no, and I was told no that I couldn't get extra hours. Um, that's when I realized that something like this, where you're doing your own branding, I'm here sitting making a video, starting this podcast or whatever you want to call it, starting this show to reach out to people that maybe are like minded. Um, in the thought that they have banking experience or they're confused where to go. Because believe me, I was too. I didn't know what I could do. I was Googling AI, everything, trying to figure out what can I do with banking background, banking, banking, banking. And all that it kept referring me to was more banking. Technically, yes, this is banking, but this is more of a niche kind of thing. To my understanding, this business is all self-sourced. You might get a few leads here and there, but depending on people giving you leads and depending on having a partnership with a real estate agent or another broker or what have you, doesn't seem to be feasible in the long run. What seems to be the successful thing behind this is to meet people directly, meet your customers, get your word of mouth out there, get your name out there, get exposure, go shake hands, go meet people. And that's really what I like to do and what I did at the bank. So I figured I might be good at this. And this is why I'm trying it. A big failure that I ended up running into was leaving the bank and in too much of a hurry. I left and not so much on a bad note, I wouldn't say, but I did. I put in the 2 weeks. I didn't necessarily have a plan. I knew the direction I wanted to head, but I trusted myself and I threw in. And for those of you, to give a little bit of perspective, I'm a homeowner, I'm married, I have a wife, um, two dogs, two cats. So I very much have a lot of responsibilities. We have two cars, everything, bills pile up. I live in an expensive area. I'm coming from Massachusetts. I'm in a city outside of Boston called Worcester. So it is expensive. My expenses are high. I left my stable job at the bank to come try something and figure it out. And ultimately, I think that I did by becoming an MLO. But one of the failures that I had was leaving. I left the bank and I started a business, and it was called Bankrite LLC. What I was trying to do is essentially be a third party for banks to come in and run customer service audits or, just regular audits on making sure the processes were in place and, the staff of retail branches were correctly informing me as the customer mystery shopper that what the information they were giving me was accurate and true and followed procedures and policies and guidelines. Ultimately, that ended up not working. I blew through a lot of life savings doing that. I learned hard and I learned fast that I couldn't launch that business. I thought of what I could cycle into. I was on Indeed, I was LinkedIn, I was everywhere. I was looking for different jobs, and I saw a local mortgage company that, just said, "Hey, basically we're hiring and the sky's the limit. It's you can get what you put in." That to me caught me right away because if you're putting your heart in, hopefully you learn something out, right? That was the thinking that I had. So I saw that post. I went in, I took the interview. The interview went great. Come to find out that since I was working for a bank before, my NMLS ID number was under the bank. Now, this is how new I was. My NMLS ID number was only good through the bank because they were a big bank. Had I known that, I would have gotten my license beforehand. But basically, I got offered the job off of the one interview and started to get onboarded before we realized I don't even have a license. So that was another hiccup in my journey, or whatever you want to call it, my start to it. And we're gonna do like a whole other episode possibly on getting licensed. I can definitely answer questions or help you guys if you have questions about getting licensed. But I did find it pretty difficult. I did end up studying a lot. I did end up having a lot of hours put into studying. I failed my first test. Everybody knows that if you're trying to get this license, you get one try, then you have to wait 30 days. Another try, 30 days. Another try, 30 days. And then if you fail it 3 times, it's a 6 month waiting period. So I felt a lot of pressure. My wife is in school. I have the house, like I mentioned, so I'm scrambling. Now, I did have a side business that I was running, and I still do run, where I sell collectible cards and collectible knickknacks and things like that on eBay and whatnot. And I have a little bit of a following there. So I got by doing those kind of things. So I needed something more stable. Not to say that loan origination is more stable. From what I hear and understand now, is that it's definitely not, unless you're in with a crazy base salary and everything and the planets all align. My main question to myself after looking back at all this was, what was a transition for me at this time in my life? Like, why was I making this big transition? Um, and I still kind of can't answer it. I don't know what made me want to make that transition. I knew that I was young enough. I knew that I didn't have so many responsibilities that it would be irresponsible for me to just quit and try to start a company and fail and then try to get hired somewhere and blow life savings. I just still question myself, and I ask you guys to even question yourself if, what are you doing right now is what you ended up wanting to do. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but if you're young enough and you have the gumption to do it and you can hustle, then maybe think about it and stop doing what you're doing now. Make that transition, or at least ask yourself the question, what am I doing? And then figure it out from there. We're not going to keep ranting on, rambling on about it, but I think that this is a good place to stop, or essentially end this episode for the month or the week. So we're going to end the episode with this. I'm going to try to keep them around like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. Maybe just like something that you could listen to in the car ride on your commute to work. So maybe 30 minutes max type thing. But again, my name is Taylor Maxwell, and if you have any questions or anything about what I had just said in this episode, or have any suggestions for me, or you have questions about mortgages or banking or anything like that, or if you want to ask me what's behind me or what brand my shirt is, it doesn't matter. Again, no bullshit. I'm just going to tell you how it is. So feel free to reach out. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. And basically, what I'll leave you with is we aren't quite there yet, but we're getting closer. So I think that's probably going to be the catch line. Thank you so much, and you have a great day.